Hey buddies, welcome to AmassGames. My name is Simon. Today we're looking at Undaunted Normandy. It is in the reinforcements box because everything in here for North Africa is in here as well. You can see a total weight going on as well. Obviously this is all over here on purpose to basically have this set up. So this is a 2-player game, total weight of 2,775 grams, and this has had a setup, play and review video. Now, if you are interested in seeing other videos in Undaunted series, make sure, of course, you hit that subscribe button, notification bell, and of course, like and share as well, and you'll see how on earth this is compared to the other ones. So, as I mentioned, everything from Undaunted Normandy fits in this box, as well as for North Africa, which you will find in here too. I've played all the Undaunted so far, apart from North Africa, so I'm looking forward to trying that one out. It also includes a solo mode, so that it will be going in the playlist for David Turtsey as well, and David Digby involved. So, we have various things. This is World War II, and this is the theatre of war. We're now moving the stuff out. There are various scenarios. This is how you obviously put things away for reinforcements. Here's the rule book, which I'll be talking to you about. This is the scenario book, and what we're going to do is just set up a scenario, not necessarily this one, a lot more simpler than this. North Africa is going to come another time, and obviously there are other scenarios for reinforcements, which is fantastic, and I'll be doing a separate video for. So you are going to need various people in your platoon, in your squad, as you can see. So everyone's going to have a certain squad, depending on what the scenario is going to tell you to have. In this case, we have the allies here, so we have a platoon sergeant, a squad leader A, squad leader B, rifleman A, rifleman B, scout A, scout B, and some fogs of war. Also some other cards which will come up later into the game, I'm just going to briefly show you about in a moment as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to get out some of these unit markers, and I'll show you how it works. So each of these scenarios is going to tell you how to arrange them. You may have seen that page a moment ago. So something like this, 5A, 9A, 6A, we could have a, an 11B for whatever reason. Let's just say that is our situation. Let's bring out another one just to make it a bit bigger. And what we're going to be doing is looking to attack our enemy. Let's say we have a scout over here for some reason we're looking to attack. And let's see if we can find one with some defense on it. Okay, cool. So we have a scout A, and for some reason our mission is just to get that scout A. Now, depending on the mission, we are either going to be going first, let's say if we're playing as the Allies, or we're going to be going second because it's going to be the Axis turn to go first. Now, I don't like the fact that they call these Germans as opposed to Axis, because of course it was the Nazis, not the Germans, but let's just say that we are going first. So we take initiative initially. So we're going to take our deck of cards. Again, this is what we're told to use. We're going to shuffle them up and then draw 4. And of course, they're doing the same. 1, 2, 3, 4. We can look at these cards, and one of these is going to be our initiative card, which basically means says, okay, the high value is going to go first. So if they play a high value than us, they go first. However, if we tie, then we break ties. So if I played a 5, they play a 5, we go first. If I play, I don't know, a 6 and they've got a 7 or a 9 or something, then they're going to go first. So they'll play out their turn first. In this case, I've got various cards in front of me. Let's say I play a scout as my initiative card and keep my rifleman for whatever reason. Now, and also what I'm going to show you is spawn markers. So we have something like this. They can be double-sided in terms of what they do. So they could be faction Cs. The base game only starts with A's and B's. So just let you know, there are C's as well. And in this case, we're starting off in this location. Let's say we're starting off in this location too. So maybe our B's over here. Again, in this case, it says all, so they would all start there. But who knows? Maybe we've already scouted this location. Sometimes they talk to you about this. Some things don't always start on the board as well. So let's do something like this. And then let's go out and play something. So the first thing to do is play out a card. So imagine we played out that card face down. Let's say we place that scout. We happen to go first. So that's now put over here. I've got 3 cards as my hand. So what can I do? Let's say I've got the rifleman B. What can he do? Well, this guy is, firstly, if he's not on the board, then you bring him onto the board. So we've got rifleman B is going to come onto the board. So when he comes, he obviously comes on where it says all or where the spawn marker is. And then he's either going to move 1, so he can move here. He cannot move to a place which hasn't been scouted. That means scouted. He can control, so he can flip that over. Some of these things might have a control marker on them, showing you that you can control them. So our objective might be to get there, and what you need to do is then ultimately control. So let's just say it was over here. Our first action might be to move. So let's say we moved here for 1, and if we had another rifleman B, say, in our hand, then what we can do is then flip that to control it, because you can flip somewhere where you have scouted, and who knows, that might be the end game trigger. So that's something we can do. The other thing you do is attack. So to attack, you take a number of dice equal to the value in black, inside a black circle, and then you can attack. So in this case, you look at how far it costs to attack. There's the distance, so we have 1, 2 tiles, so it's going to cost a tile a distance of 2, plus their terrain that they're in, which is 3 in terms of defense. So it's a total of 1, 2 plus 3 is 5. And they happen to have a defense value of 5, so a total of 10. So roll a die, I would hit on a 10 only. So it's a D10, hit on a 0, and anything, in fact, regardless of distance, you'll always hit on a 10. So if you're really struggling with, I don't know, maybe they've got 11 distance or maybe 15 or whatever it is, don't worry about it. You'll always hit on a 10. Again, only rolling 1 die. Some of them allow you to roll more than 1. So that's us play that card out. For some reason we've attacked or whatever we've just done. You can only do one of the 3 things. We've got a Fog of War in our hand. You start off with 2 of these in the game. And we have a Scout. Now a Scout can either move 2 spaces. So I can pick up my Scout on here and either move 1, 2. In this case, there's already a Scout token. To bring out another Scout token, you bring another Fog of War into your discard pile. So you have 10 available. So you have 2. Now you take one of those extra 8 and place them into your discard pile. And then you've moved to this location, which allows my Scout to do other stuff, should they wish to, allowing my Rifleman and everyone else to come through. Again, you can only move to a space which has been scouted unless you are the Scout, and therefore you are scouting. The second thing you can do is attack, just like the Rifleman. You can also recon. What that lets you do is if you have a Fog of War in your hand, you can get it out of the game, and then you draw an extra card. So let's say we get that out of the game and we draw an extra card. In this case, we've drawn another Rifleman. So that's something else you can do. The last thing is conceal, which is to chuck a Fog of War. Again, we are playing green, they're playing blue. They're going to chuck another Fog of War into their discard pile. So now we all start off with 2 initially. They've now got 3. And the final thing we talked about is conceal. So not all those different things, but we chose to draw an extra card, and that is now spent as well. Now we've got Rifleman A. What he can do is, of course, everything we just mentioned. He can attack again. He could choose to move. So again, if that had been scouted, he could have moved. He could, for some reason, we can't control. It's already controlled. If you happen to be a space, so let's say, I don't know, the scout had controlled here, and imagine that our Rifleman was in here. What he can do is flip this back. But you can only flip it back if there's nothing else present there which has your enemy in it. So I can't control this if one of the enemy tokens are in it. So let's say we've attacked. Obviously, from this is a shorter distance, so it's only a total of 1 plus 3 plus 5, so it hits on a 9, and it still misses. But of course, if it was in the same space, there's no distance to worry about. It's an attack on an 8, and again, it would have hit in this case. If you happen to hit, the opponent will look in their hand, so they've got cards in their hand, and will lose a card that's in their hand if it happens to be that one. If it's a Scout A, then you lose it. If it's not in their hand, and this is important because, of course, if you're going first or second, then you're going to go and look through their discard pile. So they can look through the discard pile, find a Scout A card, and it goes into the casualty of war, goes out of the game, and isn't used the rest of the game. And in that instance, then that's happened. But if it's not in the discard pile, you look through your deck. You look through your deck, if you find it, you remove it, and then you shuffle up again. If there's nothing left in any of those 3 locations, so your hand, your discard pile, and then your deck, then this token gets removed from the game. And that could be very important in terms of how the game continues. Now, there are other guys that can come into the game. We have gunners. So gunners are basically machine gunners, and what they can do is suppress. So how that's going to work is they're going to have a value telling you how many you're going to be using. In this case, gunners either attack with 2 dice. So again, we're using 2 to attack that poor Scout. And in this case, whatever it might be, that might be enough. Or you can suppress. So you roll 4 dice. It's the same defense value, whatever it will be, but you're rolling all 4 dice, and all it does this time is it suppresses. Now, the enemy, what they need to be doing is, if they play a Scout A card, all it does is it just brings it back to life again. Okay, that is how suppressing works. So that is the base game on how to play the game. Again, gunners aren't using that first scenario. Sometimes with reinforcements, there's extra cards which you can upgrade from specialists, as I talked about another time. There are snipers, which can stalk for 1, which means they move 1 space, and they can move into a space which does not have a territory marker on there, so a scouting marker. And that's pretty much it. You have mortars as well. So what that happens is they're going to come onto play, and they're going to come in, of course, where they spawn. You can then either move 1 space, or you can target. And on a future turn, when you play another mortar card, again, there's a few available for you to then purchase. You can then blast. So you're going to roll 1 die for everything there. So you roll 1 against, I don't know, let's say the enemy, 1 against you as well. And of course, you would then have to lose a card again from your hand, then your discard pile, and then of course your deck. So those are mortars. However, you might be targeted because you've got your mortar guy out, which means you might want to move away from the space into, who knows, a place of better defense. How that's going to work is if you move it though, you move the target, because of course you've lost your line of sight, etc. So powerful cards, but obviously you have to wait for another mortar card to come up, because the first thing is to target, and then you have to wait for another card to come up to, of course, use that blast action. This happens to have some defense. This is a hilly terrain, so inside of it, If you happen to be here and your enemy is elsewhere, then you have a defense of 3 in addition to what you have. However, you'd, in this case, if you're on the same space, only have a defense of 1. So you're only on the same area, you have a little bit of defense, but you have more defense if they're further away. You also have tanks available too. So you have tanks here too. So there's other things you can be talking about. So hopefully you found this of interest. There's lots of other stuff to talk about. Again, as always, this has been shared, so do check through for the description, of course, in YouTube. Now, just to let you know about tanks, that is in the reinforcements, which we're coming back onto. So again, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell to find out more about how tanks work. That's pretty much it for now. Again, any questions, as always, check out the description in YouTube, where of course you can join Patreon, support the channel. You can head through to Linktree. There are occasionally competitions, now time sensitive, so they do disappear. Also head through to check out Facebook and Instagram to join the discussion. Of course, follow along, over 3,000 posts. A lot of stuff going on, having completed the reinforcements element already. Okay, that's pretty much covers everything off. Again, very interesting artwork. Fantastic work by Ronald McDonald, busy for the next 4 years, already booked up. Fantastic to see these names on here too. For example, check out my playlist for Brett J. Gilbert. So Brett Gilbert is in the deck here. We've also got Matt Dunson, I've also got a playthrough as well for, amongst many others. So loads of really cool guys in here that I do know. Chris Marling in here is also know, maybe not in person, but I am aware of. So lots of really cool people, and yeah, highly recommend this game. A fantastic game. The dice did worry me dramatically. I was really worried about it in my first play. I thought it was too swingy with the dice, but it is a deck building game. Obviously, you need to be aware of various things. Great scenarios, and it's a very fun experience. So for me, that's it. Back to the table.